Elements 101, Witchery Series. Hello friends and welcome back. I'm Tia Grubb. I'm a horror writer by day and a witch 24/7. I'm happy to be your guide through today's lesson on the elements in the Witchery Series. We will be mostly discussing European Neo-Pagan definitions of the elements. Other cultures' definitions and practices differ slightly, and I would encourage you to seek out someone with more experience with those paths and practices to get a deeper, authentic cultural understanding, because I'm not qualified. But first, let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Let us begin. The common Neo-Pagan practice have 4 standard elements, and most, but not all, have 5, but I contend there are 6, but we will get to that. The 4 basic elements are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit as the 5th. We will be discussing their aspects, magical uses, and meanings of each. I will also touch on their assigned compass directions, which I also have some opinions on. But we will begin with the history of. The history of the elements. Credited to the 5th century BCE Sicilian philosopher Empedocles, the concept of the 4 or 5 elements as the basis of all life and being in the universe was an essential teaching of Aristotle and the Pythagorean mysteries of ancient Greece, and this system was figured prominently in the Magick of all Western systems. It is the most widely used conceptual model in the world and is the foundations of the Enochian magical system, as well as the tarot, astrology, the seasons, and the magic circle. This information is widely known throughout the internet, but I specifically pulled this from The Grimoire for the Apprentice Wizard by Oberon Zell Ravenheart. I would say this concept of the basic elements, with some variances in cultures, have been around before then, but the Greeks have the oldest surviving records in Western civilization that speak to the concept of the elements. So what are these elements? How do we use them? What do they mean to us in the practice, and what are their traditional cardinal directions? But I would like to note here that the traditional cardinal directions differ between the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere, commonly being reversed. I personally feel that you can call the elements in whichever directions you assign to them. Depending on where you live, you may have a lake to your north and a great mountain to your south, and so on. But I will argue that the traditional directions are there to unite and get everyone on the same page for random gatherings amongst other pagans, a shared vocabulary and understanding. This makes it easier to do impromptu magic and clear communication between different paths. Earth. Direction north. Difficulty level. It's an introductory element for most of us. It is inherently stable, forgiving, and predictable to work with. Thus, why we have been working with this with our grounding techniques. It is the perfect beginner element. It represents the material world, physical health, nature, body, fertility, endurance, physical strength, life and death, rebirth, as in born into a new cycle, rebirth. Growth, stability, and patience. Magical uses, passive protection. And when I say passive protection, I mean it is not acting like a bug zapper, it is acting like a wall. You just walk up and the wall just stands there. That is passive protection. Magic uses are, again, grounding. Getting rid of excess energy, you ground that energy out. Healing physical ailments, giving bounce to the other elements. Money magic, gaining material items. Signs that you're out of balance. Stubbornness, lack of energy, too rooted to one spot, feeling too heavy, the inability to see another's point of view. Food addictions, boredom, lack of creativity, lack of willpower, emotional numbness. Can't imagine the future, can't see the past, you're just kind of stuck in a numb place. Too much comfort, you're too complacent. Air, direction east. Difficulty level, air energy can be fickle and underestimated. It can be kind of like working with cats. You have to be patient with yourself and understand the nature of what air is to be able to work with it and get the most out of it. It does take practice. And a lot of people just don't like working with it or can't understand how to work with it. I find that people that are really good with earth or water have a really hard time working with air. Represents intellect, mind, imagination, knowledge, our breath, thought, theories, ideas, communication, focus, and ability to apply intelligence and travel. Magical uses: inspiration, speaking, writing, sending positive energy, seeking an answer, learning, thought inspired, any thought inspired magics and communications. Say you want to have someone email you or you want to hear from somebody. You would use air as a way to communicate with them, as a way to encourage them to answer you back. Signs that you are out of bounds: the inability to focus, flighty, forgetful, high anxiety, obsessive thoughts, can't stay still, inability to connect to the world around you, can't enjoy the present, obsessed with the future, never able to hold on to an idea. Fire, direction south. Difficulty level. Fire energy can come with a steep cost if not respected, but high rewards. Fire can be contained, but can easily, if not being paid attention to, jump out of its holding area and wreak havoc. Think of like a campfire. Controlled fire, useful fire, but one ember in the wrong place can burn down a whole forest. So respect the power of fire and pay attention. It is a transmutation. Instead of rebirth in a new cycle, rebirth as becoming something new and stronger. Willpower, purification, energy, like, when you're feeling tired all the time and when you're feeling energetic. Rejuvenation, desire, sexual energy, force, creation and destruction. Magic uses: cleansing, raw energy, transformation when you're trying to grow into something, you have a goal of who you want to be. Guidance in the dark times, active protection. Instead of just being a wall, it is like a bug zapper. It will actually zap the things that are coming at you, that it is active, that it is spikes, that it does hurt when somebody comes at you. Sex magic, ambition, berserker strength, and truth magics. Signs that you are out of bounds: anger, lashing out, too much energy, self-destructive, unsafe sex, overly aggressive, overreaction, or it can also be the reverse of underreaction, where you feel nothing, when you have no drive. It can be a lack of fire. Water, direction west. Difficulty level. Its destructive power is very much underestimated. It is very reactive and very temperamental, and it works with the subconscious. It can easily be overpowering. Represents patience of goals, adaptability, the emotions, the heart, the subconscious. Magic uses: soft purifications, emotion magic, glamours, illusions, dreams, love magic. Tapping into the subconscious, meditations, life, the womb, living magic, life magic, the birth of life, primal magic, primal birth. Signs that you're out of bounds: indifference, instability, moody, overly sensitive, repressed emotion, stagnation. You feel emotional about everything. Everything is drama. Your water is out of bounds. Spirit. Not all, but most modern Wiccan and Neo-Pagans believe in the fifth element, spirit. Spirit is the encompassing of all. It is our connection to everything, to the universal, to the gods. It is our self, our soul. And to some, it is, when you say above and below, it is the great connection to the universe as a whole. Now, why I say 6, in almost a jokingly kind of way, but it is something to think about, is that I see spirit as light and shadow. And a lot of people like to just work with the light. But for you to be in balance, you have to also be able to work with the shadow. So that's why I see spirit as almost 2 elements in one that have to be equally respected. Light and shadow. It is the self. It is the divine self. Difficulty level. One of the easiest and hardest depending on you. I would recommend to beginners that you work with each of the 4 basic elements and then you start working on your spiritual self. Once you have balance in your 4 elements, it's a lot easier to work with the spirit. Represents the connection to the universe, the higher self, soul, your greater purpose, universal connection, the balance between all elements, your true self, God, gods, goddess. Magic uses, web walking, astral healing work, the other worlds, the greater self, speaking and being with the gods, becoming your real self, becoming empowered, true self-empowerment, and true peace. Signs that you're out of bounds. The feeling of being disconnected from the world, a lack of peace, a lack of contentment, general unease, paranoia, being hateful and petty, and toxic positivity, leaning too far into the light or leaning too far into the shadow. These are the common elements that we use in our magics. These are also the elements that we call in most all circles. I will go into this more when we discuss circles and casting in a later video. Your homework is to start working with each of these elements individually. 1. Observe the personalities of the elements. 2. What are their strengths and weaknesses? 3. How do they interact with each other? How do they affect each other? 4. Grounding and working with each. As you did with grounding with earth energy, I would recommend you try slowly with the other elements and see what you feel and which ones feel the most comfortable working with and which ones you have the most difficulty. Write that down in your BOS, your Book of Shadows. Work with them slowly and respectfully. And if you ever feel out of balance with any of them, use your earth grounding technique. This is the end of Elements 101. Take this time to write your thoughts, notes, and experiences in your BOS. If you have questions, opinions, or ideas for future videos, please put them down in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button and that bell. I make videos about writing, travel, witchery, and anything else that might strike my fancy every 3rd Thursday of the month. Curious? Find my pagan horror fiction on Amazon in Kindle, print, and audio under Tia M. Grubb, The Lesser Devil, or Wren's Song. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Wix.com at Tia M. Grubb. Till next we meet, may the night protect you as you protect the night. So mote it be.